Good evening, and welcome to the Thursday Camera Artist Guild Critique. I am your host, George DeLoache. I'm a portrait artist and photographer's coach, and this is where we help photographers learn to master the photographic arts. Here we do critique. This is where you send your images in, and a second set of eyes takes a look at those images and tries to help you find ways that you can improve the quality of your work. Regardless of whether you're just beginning your love affair with photography or whether you've been like me in love with it for 50 years, there's always room to find new places to grow and develop. So definitely be willing to come involve yourself in the process. Now, if you're there and you decide, hey, look, I'd like to become part of the process, how do I do it? I'll tell you. Simply go over to Facebook and find the Camera Artist Guild page and ask to join. I'll bring you into the group, and then you simply write a message and attach your image to that image. Your message can be how the settings that you use for the camera or any other pertinent information you feel you want to share with that image. We have almost 1,900 photographers from all around the world that will share with you their thoughts and their feelings about your work, as well as those images will be selected for Thursday critique. Now, it makes no difference whether you're in Singapore, Nairobi, Johannesburg, Bangladesh, Mombasa. It doesn't make a bit of difference where you are in the world. We want you as part of the group, and you are welcome as part of the group, and we have people from all of the areas besides the United States and Canada. So I look forward to seeing you come and join the group. Now, before we get going, let me share with you a couple other learning opportunities that there are. I am putting on a workshop for Professional Photographers of America called their Super One Day Workshops. That'll be in October. Go to the PPA website and get the exact date and sign up for the course. It is going to be on lighting, creative lighting, and we will spend the first portion of the day working on basically classroom stuff, and then the second portion of the day we will be literally in the studio building lighting setups and photographing. So it's an opportunity for you to learn and to put into practical application the things that you learn. So by all means, we have people come to the workshop from all over the country. There is inexpensive housing not too far away from the studio. It's only one day, so we have a lot of fun. We pack a lot of stuff in there from 9:30 to 5. So keep that in mind, and I look forward to seeing you. Also, I still have the workshop. There's still some vacancies for the workshop at the Ghost Ranch, at Georgia O'Keeffe's legendary Ghost Ranch in northern New Mexico. That's going to be September the 15th to the 20th, and that's going to be on environmental portraiture and landscape. We're literally going to go into some of the most beautiful landscaped areas of the country with some great architecture, adobe, and cabins, and we're going to do environmental portraiture. We're going to merge available light with artificial light. We're going to work on all of the different camera settings and lens selections, and again, you can be at any level. You can be at a beginning level or an advanced level. There'll be stuff there for everybody, and then you are going to be able to be in a very beautiful area of the country. So I hope that you'll come join me for those days. So that takes care of the basics. Let's get over to the broadcast and take a look at some of those images. Okay, stand by. And kick off the first image. Okay, here we go. First image is Wanda DeLoache. Wanda and the baby. I'm not sure whether this is your baby or not. I can't remember exactly from the write-up what was said about it, but I mean, you know, lovely little chubby cheek baby. Being a grandfather of a 9-month-old, I just am enamored by babies. When my own kid was born, I guess I was too close to it to really see the joy in the development, but here you've got a great shot there, you know, great expression. And it's all about expression. The little kid is just beginning to develop the ability to smile and to share back facial expressions. So your exposure is on, you caught it well, you caught a nice expression. Baby photography is a real challenge and a real discipline in its own. Same way with pet photography or product or wedding or whatever. There's things that you learn in working with babies. So if you're taking your own baby, that's fine. But here, remember to not cut off the hand. You crop right through the hand here, right through the knuckle there. We want to see that whole hand. Some of the standard posing goes, even though it's infants, and I know they don't want to pose, and they can't listen, and they don't understand what you're saying, but you just have to have a bunch of patience and work through it with them. So back off a little bit, leave yourself more room around the kid than you think you need, and that will take care of those areas so that when you do crop the image, you'll have enough there to play with. Almost every camera, even crop sensor cameras, are high enough resolution that you can afford to back off a little bit and show the upper torso of the kid. And the only other thing that helps out at the time is to have a baby wrangler or a helper along with you. Keep towels and all like that. Just wipe that spit real quick off the chin, and then bam, take that image, and it will pop it right on up to the next level. Okay, Wanda, thank you on that one. This one, I love this one. You got a nice chair there. I love the chair. You're working away at it. I think that the image could probably be cropped in a little tighter. I don't think all of the upper chair up there really adds that much to the image. I'm just going to, let's go to a 4x5 crop, which of course is my favorite. You guys probably know that. And let's throw a 4x5 crop in there. And of course you got to watch out for cropping off the hand. Again, the hand is missing. So I'm not going to crop it off there on this one. But something, I wonder, horizontal, no, So let's go back to vertical. I think that's a little stronger image. I would like to see the legs. I like to see the hand. So go to vertical, or go to horizontal, go to landscape mode in this one. And I think the image will be a stronger image, and you can afford to lose the top of the chair. It's not going to take away anything from the image. Okay, nice. Thank you, Wanda. Steve Perry. Wow, Steve, you really stepped out and gone to something completely different this time. Steve, we're looking at a still life as opposed to your normal portraits, but this gives you time to work at it. I love doing still lifes like this. Study the work of the great paint masters of the Baroque and the Rococo era, of the Flemish and Dutch painters of the 15th, 16th, and 17th century, and see how they prop, how they compose, and then how they light each image. Now I know you say, well, George, they don't light it, they paint it, but it's just a different medium. Photography is one medium, paint is another medium. We're still working with light and shadow, and color, hue, and luminosity. So check out how they put that together. This is nice, and you've done a lot of cool things with it, but I think it could pop on up to the next level. Propping wise, if you just study some of the works of the masters there and try to emulate it. I've done some of it. It is not easy. It seems like it might be easy, but it is a real challenge. So spend your time researching the artwork and then step on into it. But still, it's a nice image, Steve. Thank you. And hey, Diana, I see Diana's in the house. All right, Michael Montgomery, Positive Images. Interesting image. I have what the film movie cinema calls them cuculorises, and sometimes cookie cutters, but for the most part it's called a cuculoris, which projects a shadow pattern, a window, blinds, other stuff like that on people's faces. I'm not sure whether this is the actual blind or whether you were using a cuculoris to do this, but it is an interesting image, and it's well exposed and well executed. So nice, Michael. Okay, this is another Michael Montgomery. You're up there in Palmdale in the desert, and you and John Harvell both live relatively close to each other out there. And I, for one, do not understand why anybody would want to go out into the desert and tag a rock. That just doesn't register with me. I'm sorry, I just can't understand it. But they tagged it, and it's there. I like the direction that you're headed in. But I think knowing how well you can handle your available light and artificial light combination, I think this one's missing an additional light source, or working with the sun you have there and reflectors, or even a silk up there to knock the sun down so you can raise the shadow values. Right now, her face and her arm are in shadow. This arm is leaving this dark bar going across her upper torso, and her whole face is in shadow. The dress is so bright that your eyes go to the dress area and to the funnel rock down there that's getting the sun, and it makes it difficult to see her face and discern any feeling or emotion from the image. Also, she's kind of posed a little backwards. You want most of the weight on that rear leg, and it is kind of, but you want a different torso twist to it so that it brings out an S curve in the torso. The arm overhead pose is a difficult one to pull off. My old teachers used to call that the armpit shot. And so think about it. I think that if you did not want to add, let's say you said, well, if I throw in artificial light, I come in here camera left, and I put up a softbox, it's going to illuminate this light and it's not going to look natural. I don't want to do that. The other alternative is to use a silk, a 4x4 or a 4x8 silk that would block the sun here. And in blocking the sun, it would tone down the sun, drop the sun a couple of stops. And dropping the sun a couple of stops, it would allow this area now to come into closer ratio between the sun and it. Of course, it means setting up a silk and going through the effort to go there, but it's a possibility, and just takes a little time to set it up. Sunlighter has a thing they call the sun swatter, which can be held by one person, and it's on a pole with a big translucent sheet. What a silk is a translucent sheet of varying opacity, depending upon whether it's a one or a half stop or whatever. And it acts as the same thing as it does on diffusion on the front of a softbox. It does with the sun. It diffuses it and it reduces its volume. So a couple suggestions, they might help out there just a little bit. Hey Jay, welcome. Maurice James Stewart. Maurice is just killing this stuff with these product shots. And Maurice, you know, I've been on a no carbohydrate diet now for the past 6 months. So that's all I need to do is look at chocolate, right? No, I appreciate where you're trying to go with it. I think that you might be able to add a little more texture with lighting direction. Looks like the light is a little flat on there, and you might want to get in on a little more of an angle, but I like the propping, the bite out of the piece. What they will do when they do a bite out of a piece like that sometimes is actually leave a couple of little crumbs around there as well to kind of add a little authenticity in there. But keep on going, man. You're really growing as a product shooter. This is Les McDowell. I love this one, Les. I mean, you have quite a few that you submitted, so go make sure you guys go to the Camera Artists Guild group and look at Les's work. He has Les. Goodness gracious, I read it wrong. Sorry, Lee, and I know your name, Lee. He has included a lot of his lighting setups to show you how he's done stuff on a couple of them, so it's worthwhile. But this one, I love this one because of the feel. There is a great emotion in there. There's tenderness. There's the lighting is strong, the posing is right where it's supposed to be. Well done. Excellent, excellent, excellent image. This is another one that Lee put up with his light modifier. So I just included that very quickly. Shows you how he is working on location. I think he's using the AD200s. And I'm not sure whether that's a Zeppelin or whatever, but it's a deep dish parabolic. But the AD200 seems to be a pretty cool light. I think it pitches out about 200 watt seconds, which is definitely enough in most lighting situations. And it's self-contained. That's all there is to it, no additional batteries. I've been looking at them, and when I want to drop $1,000 on 4 of them, I'll go ahead and pull the trigger right now. I'm still using battery packs out there and stuff to do that, but still, nice work, Lee. Thank you. We got Keith M. Cummins, and this is a tear sheet from the Jackson Sun. Nice image. Now, he included the actual image and the tear sheet. If you were going to be doing a commercial shot or commercial entry into image print competition, PPA print competition, you would submit both the tear sheet for editorial, the tear sheet, and the actual original image, so you get an idea how that image was done. Because image editors and editors at publications and editorial publications, newspapers and magazines are notorious for screwing with things like color balance and brightness, and I mean, an image that you go, man, I had a lot of detail in there. They blow it out because they see it from a completely different set. But I love the image. It took a lot of thinking and planning to set this up so that you had the guy looking at himself in the mirror with an opposite image in the mirror than what's being reflected there. So congratulations for taking the time to set it up and think it out, and it's well executed. And the fact that you're published speaks to the authenticity of the image. So well done, Kenneth. Keith Davis, Philly. Okay, Keith. It's okay. I'm not much for putting somebody right up against a background like that, unless you're going to use that shadow as part of the design element, and it's there. It looks okay. Lighting is just a little on the flat side. I know I'm being a little more critical, but I know your ability, and this one isn't as strong as you usually do, but still it's acceptable. I mean, I'm sure she was happy with it and everything. The pose could be refined some as well. Okay, there we go. Now this is another one that Keith put up, and if I remember your statement right on the website, on the Camera Artist Group, Camera Artist Guild group page, you said that there's a agency that wants to buy this image or rent license usage, and that you weren't that much in favor of the image, but they wanted to buy it, and you wanted to know what they saw in the image. And who knows, Keith? People buy images for all kinds of reasons. They can buy them because they're excellent. They can buy them because they're not excellent. They can buy them to express a point or to set up a certain thing. The main thing is they're buying them, and so just get the money. Go to the bank, stack the Benjamins. That's what it's all about. Because you used a low light position, what's referred to as monster light, the strongest light is coming from underneath the subject up towards the subject. That kind of adds a little more menacing look to it. So this guy's got kind of a hard, somewhat menacing look, but not in a bad sense. He just looks like a tough guy, and maybe that's what they were after. But congratulations on selling the image. May you sell many more. Jerome Lynch. All right, Jerome. Nice. Well done as far as the exposure is concerned. I I think that your lower reflector or light source could be just a little bit lower. I'm looking at where the catch lights are in the eye. And I think that your upper light could be just a little bit higher. I'm always looking for a butterfly shaped shadow underneath the nose, and in order to get that, that light's got to be just a little bit higher. The other thing is background subject separation. You can still see the hair, but you're beginning to lose it into the background. So throw another light right there on that background, illuminate that background up a little bit, and that'll take this image, that'll step it right on up, step the game up a little bit, move on up to the next level on it. Let's see there. Hey, we got Sean J. DeAndre, what's going on, man? Enoch. Jacobs. James. All right. Thank you, Jerome. Jerome Hart. Nice image. Sports. Let me move this out of the way so we can get the full benefit of the image there. It's well composed. I mean, you're there at the right time. The timing is right. To me, it looks a little overexposed. The colors in the red jerseys are not as saturated as they could be, and the whites are blown out. So I would say you're maybe a third stop to half stop overexposed. But still, the main thing is get the image, and you can definitely feel the hit. You can hear the pads. Thanks, Jerome. Ivan Richardson. Ivan, you have a couple of them up there, and you're kind of doing this this Water's World, or this kind of semi-science fiction-y kind of a thing, and you've got a lot of good elements. You got this big Rottweiler. You got your model. Looks like she's holding a bayonet or a machete or something like that. She's got the face mask on, which kind of like almost the after apocalypse kind of a feel. So there are a lot of elements working there, but you got to work them all together. You got to think out your concept. Get her away from this fence where the barbed wire is running right through the back of her head, and this fence post is climbing out of her shoulder. Get in there closer so that you can get face. All of this over here doesn't do anything. The air conditioning unit doesn't add anything to it. The aluminum building or the metallic building might. Let's just see what would happen if we threw in a different crop. I'm just wondering. I didn't try this beforehand, so I don't know what we're going to get here on this. Let's give the dog some ground, and let's put a little bit of above space. Okay. That is a stronger crop. I think I would, again, prefer to get away from that fence, change the angle. Also, you gotta, try to get attention to the dog. I make noises. You can get clickers. There are a lot of things you can do to get that dog attention. If you're going to do pet stuff, and this is, in essence, a pet shot, you want to get that dog looking back at you. That's a big old Rottweiler, so he has no problem with looking at you. Okay. Thanks, Ivan. I got one more I'm going to pick up on that. And again, here is the lady and her dog, and you caught the dog right in the middle of expression, tongue halfway in, out. You want to get those eyes over towards you. And if you're going to do one like this one, I'm not thrilled with that fence in the background, but go to a longer lens and a shallow depth of field. It's late in the day, so you can get away with it. Throw all of this in the background out of focus with shallow depth of field. That'll separate her from the background. Move her off the fence some so that the fence isn't sharp as well. Move her up off the fence. You probably could have come forward 10, 12 feet and got identically the same shot with the same camera angle, but thrown everything in the background out, kept their exposure, everything else the way it was, and then just make some noises or something to get the dog's attention. I literally make a whining noise when I'm photographing dogs, and it works. I just go, something like that, and the dog will look at you, and it only works a few times. You can't get away with it very often, but you get ready for your shot. Then when you got everything in line and position, you make that noise, the dog looks at you, and bam, you take the exposure. If you get 10 minutes out of a dog, you're doing really good. Okay, and we got George Butler. George, you got several up here, so we're going to kind of shoot through it. You brought in one, which is your model here, and the others are sports, so we'll look at those sports ones as we get in there. Remember to always include all of the body appendages if you're going to do a full length. If you're not a full length, don't lose the foot over here. The foot is chopped off over there. That is a bit of a problem. And watch her hand positions. Change her hand position around a little bit. She could have just as easily moved forward on the rock and then put her thumb behind her torso, her forefingers in front of her torso, and that would have been a much more comfortable position for her hand. That would have dropped her shoulder down so that it didn't look quite so awkward. But your exposure is on, and I like your lens choice and your shallow depth of field. Okay, this is another one, and this is another George Butler. You did get peak action. A couple of the sports shooters mentioned it. I agree with them that the action is in the receiver and the tackler, and all the rest of the stuff out here is unnecessary. This has got to be, looks like training camp to me, practice, because you got, I don't think these are everybody's in shorts and stuff like that. That doesn't look like an actual game. But let's see what happens if you were to just crop it in. You could, on this one, it's going to have to be a vertical crop because, let's see here, there we go. Maybe something like that would be a little more. We dropped them in there on the 1/3 compositional line. We've left enough room so that the action is moving the camera left, it'll go out. And we eliminated a lot of the elements there that were distracting from the main focal point. So just keep that into consideration when you are framing and when you're doing your post-production. And last image, watch out for cropping off body parts. I know you are really going for the peak action, but all the rest of it is part of that. So zoom out, move with your feet, pay attention to your surroundings, and there you go, just work it out. Okay, this one is G. Johnson. And there's a lot to like about this one, G. I find a lot of things in there that I think are interesting and well worth consideration. The thing that bothers me, I love the model, the tennis position, all of that. The depth of field choice was fine. I might like to push that depth of field a little bit more to get the background a little more out of line. The camera angle's fine. What bugs me is the tennis net. And I know you were trying to add it compositionally, but it blocks the model. It blocks the model and most of her torso. And so anything that detracts from the model is not adding to the image. At least that's my opinion. Other people may have different opinions, but that's the way I see it. I love this portion of it up here. The face, the hands, the tennis racket, all of that is right on point. But that net just doesn't work for me. This, on the other hand, works. The crop, I would have moved the crop down. You're almost about to hip joint crop. Drop it down to the thighs. You want to crop between the joints. So it should be down about middle of her thigh. That would be a perfect crop for this image. And other than that, it's nice. Okay, Gary Duncan. And I looked at this image, Gary, and when I first looked at it, I thought, is that a composite? Are those all three the same guy? Because their faces look so similar to one another that I thought you had done a composite. And then I realized there are different numbers on the jersey. And if you had done that and had them switch numbers, maybe you did, you know. And they got different color sneakers. But it's still, it's nice. It's well executed. It feels good. So that's what I expect from you on the sports stuff anyway. Okay, here we go again. One more Gary Duncan. Now, on this one, Gary, I'm gonna point out a couple of things. Whenever you have something pointing towards the camera, be it the neck of a guitar, the golf club, baseball bat, tennis racket, arm with the pointed finger, it's got to be sharp. You got to be. If this thing says P&G or Spalding or whatever, you got to be able to read that club. And right now, because of the shallow depth of field that you chose in order to keep the background out of focus, the clubs protrude into the foreground. Now, is there a way to do this and accomplish it? Yeah, but it gets a little complicated, and the only way you could do this one would be focus stacking. You can use hyperfocus, and hyperfocus operates under the principle that you have a greater distance or depth of field behind the point that you're focusing at than you do in front of the point that you're focusing at. So you, rather than focusing on their face, you would focus on a spot somewhere up the elbow, somewhere along about elbow range. You have to check your depth of field and see what your depth of field is. I have a depth of field app on my phone. You can get them for any phone, Android, iPhone. Get a depth of field calculator. It'll let you plug in your camera, your lens, and your f-stop, and it'll tell you what that depth of field is. Some of them will even give you the hyperfocal distance. So let's say you had a 1 or 2 or 3 foot depth of field. Let's say just figure 3 feet with this one. And the club is about maybe 2.5 feet away from the subject. You could, if you have a 3 foot depth of field, that means that you've got maybe 1.5 feet in front or a foot in front and about 1.5 feet in the back. So you could focus up here 1.5 feet or so farther up her arm, and her face would still be sharp, but the club would be closer to the near end where your depth of field begins to fall off on the near side. That's one way. The way I'd pull this one off, and also you want to keep that club out of her face so that it's not blocking her face. The way I would pull this off is with focus stacking, and that means you're going to do 2 shots. And I'm going to work on, since you're outdoors and you're moving fast, and I'm going to be working from a monopod. Tripod would be better if you can set this one up. A tripod is great. But a monopod if you can't, but a tripod is the best. Set that tripod up, take one exposure, and you got to do this quick. Take one exposure, focus on the club, one exposure, and focus on the subject. Just click, change, click, change. And if you could get one in between, that would be good as well. But just nothing else, just change your little focal distance if you're using autofocus. You get on that little daisy wheel there in the back, click, 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 put it on the club, click, put it on the face, click. And you can do it in a fraction of a couple of seconds. And you want to get them to hold their expression. And then in post-production, bring that in. And with layer mask, then you can bring the focus back in to the front where it's focused there. And that's called focus stacking, and check it. Look it up and you can get some more information on it. Okay. There we go. Okay, Gary, thank you. Enoch Purnell. You're kind of rocking it on this one, Enoch. I like it. I like the head toss. The pose is nice. Lighting is strong. Everything is good about it. The only thing I see right here is in the upper left, upper camera left, there's a camera flare coming in from that kicker light that's illuminating the back of her hair. You got to handle this with one of three ways. Either it's going to be a grid, which will block the light from coming directly towards the camera but still illuminate the subject. Barn doors, which are a little more difficult to operate with in this close of an environment. Or a gobo or flag, that is a separate dark sheet of material, cardboard, or an actual physical you pay for Matthews or Mo Richards or something like that flag that will block the light from the light coming into the camera. And that could be at different distances. It could be close, or it could be just close to the camera. You can bring that right up, that flag right up next to the camera, and you could use a V-flat for that matter, as long as it's not in the lens, where the lens is. Look through the camera. When you can't see the light, then that's a good distance to put it, and that will help that out immensely. And it's not that bad in this one here. It can flare. Whatever lens you're using didn't flare, so that's a good thing. Just keep that in mind. A gobo, a flag, or barn doors. Eliave, interesting image. Lots of feel to it. One of the people made a comment about retouching the armpit area. I think that would help out a lot. I personally would like to see a little more fill light in there. That's just my own personal feel, but I like what you're trying to do, and I like the feel of it. You got a good lighting angle. It is difficult to pull off a camera angle when working on a female model when you're lower than the face. You are pulling this one off to a degree. I think you may want to consider raising the camera angle a little bit, but that's, again, those are all aesthetic values. Your exposure is where it needs to be, and you didn't crop off the elbow. You got close, but you didn't crop off the elbow. Okay, Diana Rutger, girl, you just really are out there pushing it. I have to commend Diana because she tries everything. She pushes the envelope constantly. She is always experimenting on new stuff, and this is light painting, and you pulled it off. I mean, like, I love the little light circle back here on the tree, and the little light circle over there, and the time of day, and then it must have been four pops, maybe 6, that you did with your strobes, but nice. Everything, composition is strong. Very nice image, Diana. Congratulations. Okay, Daryl Jarman, and Daryl stepped out of his normal studio photographer and moved into editorial, and so we are looking at editorial and commercial, and nice. All the lines are straight, which is something that I'm always looking at. At least I believe they are. They look straight to me. It's a little difficult. There is some perspective change because you're down looking up. You can stretch that a little bit with transform, or I own a PC lens, a parallax correction lens, and a shift lens. And it's really cool for that. It would just keep those lines perfectly straight. But well done. I love the feel of it. I love the composition. I kind of would like to see a little more space camera left. Just pull that scaffolding off the edge of the page just a little bit. And that would, I mean, I know you're dropping the guys right in there on that 1/3 compositional line, and that's strong. but I just wonder if there's just a little bit more sky on the other side. But still, I really like the way it's done. I've done some construction photography like that, and it's an interesting and challenging thing because you're working with a high noon time of day usually, and you got it. You carried it off well. And now you're back in your element doing portrait. This is again Daryl Jarman, and love the expression. The lighting is great. The pose is strong. Everything is nice about it. A little bit bright on this back column, but since you are using available light, there's not much you can do to tone down that column at all because you're stuck with either overexposing her or and to drop that column down. So you did the best you could with it. You placed her in a really strong position. You did crop her through her kneecap, and you know, it'd been a little bit better if you could have dropped down and got the calf, got middle of calf. I think that would have helped out, refined it a little bit more. But you know, Daryl's an excellent photographer, so you know, I make my comments just simply as a fellow photographer sharing an opinion. And Charles McLean. Okay, Charles, nice model. Interesting surroundings. They all kind of work together. I wonder if you could not have pulled her off of the bamboo a little bit more and angled her a little more against the yellow. I think that because there's a lot of stuff going on there in the background, so she kind of gets lost over here, and you would see her with the I think I like the way this whole side is separating here. Your exposure is dead on the money. Skin tones look fabulous. Her pose is fine. So it's just refining the background a little bit. And I know you're probably just searching for places to photograph when you have a model and you're in a location. So you look for the best you can get. And this very well may have been the best. But it's well done. It's executed well. Thanks, Charles. And here's Charles McLean one more time. And I love the idea, the bride in the mirror. That's great. There are I don't know how. I think I would have got her. You may have just been grabbing the photograph as it happened, but this bottle in her hand of lotion or whatever it is, I don't think it adds anything to the bridal image. Now, I like the mirror. I like the light in there. And then I am assuming this is the bouquet. It is out of focus. Get it out of the shot. It would be better if she was holding it and not the bottle. And you just have to direct them to do that. Hey, you look at it and it comes up, man, that's a great shot. Let's just do this, you know, and take a couple of minutes and say, here, let me take that bottle and put it over here and grab a hold of the bouquet and hold it right there and then look there and think beautiful thoughts. But I commend you for thinking and seeing something unusual and working with it. Okay. Now, I'm going to butcher this name. I believe it's Benoit. It's B-I-N-A-U-X. I believe it's Benoit Lenore. So if I butchered your name, please talk to Eliave. I've been butchering his name for years. But interesting photograph. This one works. It can be a struggle, but it works on this one with the pose and the look. This kneecap coming directly into the camera is a little rough. I think I would have gone for more of a turn of her torso so that knee was not pointed directly into the camera. That keeps that knee from looking bigger than her head because you're looking, you know, it's closest to the camera. Same principle as Gary Duncan and the golf clubs. That golf club looked huge because of how close it was to the camera. So change that position a little bit, and that will strengthen it up. But your exposure is on, and skin tones look good. This one shows just exactly what I'm talking about. You have the thigh going across camera angle, so the thigh and the calf all look good, and she looks fine. What can I say? There you go. All right, Al Cabrera, and once again, Al, you're just like doing it, man. You got the lighting right on her, and it's got to be artificial light. You got to be throwing a light in there, a light source in there. You got the groom here in the back in the mirror, which is really a nice touch. She's exposed. She's got a great Rembrandt, loop to Rembrandt right on the borderline between the two, but a nice light pattern on her face. It's showing up very well in the mirror. The bouquet, the groom, the mirror or window, whatever it is, it's a mirror. Well done all the way around. The only thing I would say is I would like to see more of her body here. I would like to see her entire body rather than just a portion. I know that this is the portion of the photograph you're after, but I just think that it'd be really cool if we could see her and her shoulder and her train back here, and have it cropped a little lower so you're not nipping into the mirror, but bring it down a little bit lower. I think that that would have added quite a little bit to it. But man, you sure can bang out those exposures with available and artificial light. You got that wired. Congratulations. Okay, Willie Demetrius Richardson. For a available light, no artificial light added, this is about as good as you can do. The challenge here is that the model begins to disappear into the dark background. Her skin tones are fine, but her hair and head begin to disappear into the background. The other thing that I don't think is helping, although I understand why you did it, is this rock or plant or whatever it is here in the foreground that's out of focus. I know that you were trying to demonstrate depth of field with foreground, midground, and background, but because this is a blob that you don't know what it is, it's just a blob that's blocking her legs and taking up the lower third of the image, I don't think it adds anything to the image, so you can remove it. It literally takes her off at the kneecap. It amputates her at the knee. And you would want to you could maybe move the camera right a little bit and get the same shot without this in the scene. So take that into consideration, whatever you decide to do, but, just think about it. Okay, here we go. And again, same maker, Willie Demetrius Richardson. And here you've got the whole model in. Looks like she's changed outfits. It's an interesting environment, and you're working with it with available light. This is the best you could do. I would like to get some reflectors in there to get a little more light into her, but it has a nice feel to it, and it has a nice feel to it. I'd probably like to get a little more upper torso turned towards the camera, so that this shoulder and everything, this back shoulder up here, doesn't look quite as out of form. You can see the full form figure. Just have her rotate her shoulder forward or turn her torso a little more towards the camera. I think that'd help out a little bit, but still, not bad. Okay, that pretty much does it for this week. And we are going to get everything spun around here. Great. There we go. Okay, good enough. All right, everybody. And let me get my tracking ball around here so that I'll be able to check out when we get ready to go. Okay, that covers it for this week. I really appreciate you guys tuning in for this Thursday. Don't forget, we got a couple of things going. October, the PPA Super One Day workshop at my studio, 1 day long. Come on into LA. It's going to be great. If you live in LA, come visit. I have people travel from out of town. There's inexpensive rooms in and around you can get, and just spend a day. We'll do a portion of the day classroom and the other portion of the day actually shooting and building lighting setups. So it'll be worthwhile coming to take a look at it and spend some time there. Also, don't forget the Ghost Ranch, September 15th to the 20th in northern New Mexico, environmental portraiture and landscape, and we'll be working on that. All right, you guys, that's just about it. Stand by. I got some stuff in the works that's going to happen. I am developing a new special location site for just those people who want to begin to study deeper into photography. And I'll be talking about that group one of these days. It's kind of in the put together phase right now, but we'll be putting that together. All right, good enough. I appreciate it. Wonderful images again this week. Thank you guys so much for being part of the group. And we'll see you again next Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye.